Hello everyone, I am Mika. Welcome to my channel. What if I told you there's a new smartphone company based in London which has recently released their first smartphone called Nothing Phone? I'm assuming you either already know or you know nothing about it. The brand name is very punny, but let me tell you what I think of this new smartphone, Nothing Phone 1, after a month of buying and using it. As someone who uses the latest iPhones and currently is waiting for 14 Pro, it is a bit difficult to compare $1,000 phone with the one that costs less than the half, as Nothing Phone 1 starts at £400 for base model. Despite that, it looks and feels much more expensive. This is largely due to the amazing build quality and obvious resemblance with iPhone 12. I see no issue with copying iPhone 12 design, with aluminium edges, boxy and flat displays, perfectly symmetrical bezels, which is very rare for non-iPhone smartphones. There are some people reporting display panel quality issues, but my unit seems fine. Display is really good at this price. It is 1080p HDR 120Hz AMOLED, which is more than enough for everyday use. Plus, it comes with good pre-installed screen protector. Towards below the display we can find handy fingerprint scanner, which is great to have. It is not super fast, and I wish it was a bit higher, but does the job quite well. The build quality of the buttons is also very good. The phone is very light and has good vibration motor. The speakers are stereo, but the sound is not comparable with, let's say, latest iPhones or Samsungs. At this price we don't expect Dolby Atmos, but that said, they are not bad either. Some reviewers were complaining about the sound output, so I tested both wireless and wired sound, and I see no issue whatsoever. The phone has really good feel in the hand, though a bit large, and is more suitable for those who prefer larger phones, like Apple's Pro Max models. And because of this, I am not able to comfortably type with one hand. Speaking of design, it has a semi-transparent back, with LED lights that act as a notification lights. Nothing Company calls this glyph interface, which is by far the biggest wow factor of this phone. Functionality-wise, there is not much you can do with them. They are meant to be used when the phone is placed on its screen, so when you receive a notification or a call, they would flash in a pattern that you select, like a ringtone. Maybe you can remember what light sequence belongs to what type of notification or contact calling you, but I don't really put my phone on its display. The OS already has tap the screen to wake functionality, and I can quickly glance anyway, with always on display turned on if I want to see my notifications or who is calling. You can use these LEDs to make them flash on the rhythm when playing audio. However, it is a hidden feature and is activated by adding a contact name called Abra for some reason, and I haven't seen a single reviewer mentioning this. You can also use these lights as a flash when taking pictures, and this is by far the most useful scenario I can think of. Overall, I am very impressed with this design. The lights may not be useful to me personally, but I have to admit they do look cool. The phone looks different from anything else. I hope that Nothing can give us more customization and more use cases for these lights. My only problem with the design is that the phone is very slippery. And also be careful not dropping it into water, as it is not officially water resistant. It's just IP53, which is splash resistance. There is no plastic case that comes in the box with the phone, and also no charger, by the way. However, they do sell it separately, and I do strongly advise using a clear back case. My secondary phone has always been OnePlus for many years now, and only for one reason: the software. In my opinion, not even Google's original native stock Android beats Oxygen OS, OnePlus's OS. Suddenly, Oxygen OS has become much worse after integration with Oppo, which is why, when looking at the latest released smartphones, which includes OnePlus 10 series, Nothing OS is very appealing to me. Mostly because of its simplicity and lack of any ads like Xiaomi, or tons of apps that come pre-installed, like Samsung. In general, there isn't much customization in the OS. Granted, it is the first version, constantly receiving software updates by the way, and is very smooth. But I think they could have at least taken few more features from OnePlus's Oxygen OS, like a customization of fingerprint scanner animation, like gestures, lock screen, or always-on display features. As you know, the co-founder of OnePlus is the same person as the founder of Nothing, so he already has good experience in smartphone world. So, in a way, this review is coming from a perspective of both an iPhone 13 Pro user and a OnePlus 8T user. And there is one thing that these both phones can do, but Nothing phone sadly does not: the alert slider. I would not consider it as a deal breaker, but it is very handy to have a quick hardware switch to mute your phone sounds. Maybe the following are also not deal breakers for you, but let me list some negatives that I noticed. In the software, for example, the quick settings that you open from the top are just horrible. I don't like these large icons, and these two discs on top make too much space. Why do we need to scroll the circle to reach Wi-Fi, cellular, and hotspot icons? Next, the phone has dark mode, cool, but it feels like more a gray mode, not really a true dark mode with pitch black settings menu, like iPhone for example. This literally saves you battery, as black pixels are simply off and don't use power. Next, why is Google Photo app so bad? It does not have full camera roll feature that shows every single photo taken on your phone in chronological order, including screenshots, which is what I have in both iPhone and OnePlus. I also don't like that we cannot hide the bottom bar. There is also no live caption option for any media that is being played. In-app camera is bad in all apps I have tested. This is sadly a normal for Android phones, but was very strange to see a video feed delay on Telegram app, for example, while video calling. I'll also mention that there is no microSD expandable storage option, and last but not least, while it does have dual SIM, thank you very much, Nothing Phone 1 surprisingly does not support eSIM. I personally know a few people who use this feature and cannot have a new phone without it. Before checking the camera and finalizing the review, let's talk battery and performance. The phone has 4500 mAh capacity battery, which keeps getting better with software updates. I have seen so many reviewers complaining about it, but I don't see anything wrong. Sure, you can kill it in a day with high brightness, 5G on, and using camera all day, but you cannot expect iPhone 13 Pro Max level battery, which is the best. It has useful reverse charging feature, which is not very common at this price, and a decent wireless charging at 15 watts. Using wire, you can fast charge up to 33 watts, which translates to 0 to 100 in about 1 hour and 5 minutes, while my 2-year-old OnePlus can do 65 watts and 0 to 100 in 40 minutes. It's not a huge difference. Also, 80T costs slightly higher at release. Notice that so far I have not mentioned the performance. Well, because it is really good and there is not much to say here. It is quite rare to find a bad performing smartphone nowadays. The base model comes with 8GB of RAM, which is plenty, and 128GB storage. Even though Nothing Phone 1 does not have the latest Snapdragon and instead has 778G chip, it handles pretty much every app very well. Phone does not get warm while playing games. Sure, the speed is not at latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus version or something, and sometimes can feel slow when streaming high-quality YouTube video. However, the 120Hz display makes this phone feel faster than any phone or any iPhone without 120Hz display. And finally, the cameras. Nothing Phone 1 has 3 cameras, one selfie, one standard, and one wide-angle lens. I am not much of a selfie taker, but I have noticed very bad selfie quality with almost no HDR and quite poor video recording. That said, I am very pleased with main camera and its ability to capture realistic, true-to-life colors. Now, in good light, I think that you would not be able to tell apart iPhone's photo and Nothing's photos. They are both really good, and sometimes Nothing performs even better. In bad lighting, colors can get a bit off, but still quite good. Night mode, while not being better, still holds up very well, especially at this price. Here, Nothing lacks a bit of sharpness and does some aggressive noise reduction. Now, that was the main camera. The wide-angle photos are not that great, but are completely usable if you need it. The same wide-angle can be used to take macro photography as well, and results are better than expected. Certainly better than those useless 2-megapixel macro cameras. Nothing Phone also surprisingly performs better at portrait mode on non-human subjects. The colors may not be perfect, but the cutout of the bokeh are much more accurate than on my iPhone. I have heard that installing Google's Gcam yields better results, but that was not the case in my testing. In almost every case, I preferred photo from the main camera app. Only in very specific cases, such as low light, that I can say Gcam is slight improvement. For example, here, Google's Gcam made photo much darker and lost details on the tower. And here, it did better than default camera app, but could not match the color of the iPhone. And some other times there is almost no difference. My advice to 99% of people is just to use main stock camera app. What makes iPhone to be the best camera on any smartphone is consistency. And Nothing Phone does not have it. Sometimes photos come out perfect and sometimes completely off with colors and sharpness and lighting. And most importantly, photos look different on all cameras, especially lacking consistency between wide and ultra-wide. Bear in mind as we are comparing this phone to much more expensive iPhone. So, to make it a bit fair, what happens if, let's say, I compare it to my 2-year-old OnePlus 8T? Well, we can clearly see that in all these shots, Nothing's colors are nicer, more alive, and have realistic tones. They have less grain and better HDR. Although, if you don't really dive into details into these comparisons, these two take very similar photos. I can only compare with my OnePlus and iPhone, so in case you are wondering how it competes against some other specific phone, try YouTube search. But before that, let's test video recording. Wide angle is not very wide. I'm just noticing it. It's not that wide. It looks fine. It's not bright. At least on screen I don't see it bright. It's a bit more wobbly. I don't know about stabilization. Looks fine. Fun fact, there is a red dot light that you can activate in video settings to blink when you are recording. But sadly, this does not save the fact that recording quality itself is not good, especially the colors. But it is not bad or unusable. I assume it is the chipset limitation, for example, that fails to record at 4K at 60. But I have no idea why we cannot record 1080 at 60 from selfie camera. We also cannot switch from ultra-wide to wide during the recording. The bottom line is, the camera is not as good as Google Pixel or iPhones. They are the best in my opinion. That said, taking price into consideration, Nothing Phone 1 has really good main camera, a bit lackluster selfie camera, completely usable ultra-wide with macro mode in good light, and passable video recording capability. Speaking of cameras, I also want to mention that the phone does have face unlock, but when given an option, I prefer fingerprint scanner. Okay, let's wrap it up. You may be asking, why did you care to review this phone? There are dozens of phones that are released every year, so what is so special about this one? I would say, how often do you see a new manufacturer enter the smartphone business? For me, it is very interesting to see what Nothing has to offer in this tough market. After using Phone 1 for almost a month, I can say I like it. Even if it feels first generation phone, it has huge potential. I hope that this new company can listen to its customers and keep improving both software with updates and hardware with newer models. I think 400 to 500 pounds is a perfect range to compete and deliver value. Everyone understands to some degree that a good phone cannot be too cheap, and expensive phone cannot fairly deliver drastic improvements at higher values. People want to own and use a beautifully designed piece of technology that can be used every day, but even a perfect hardware is a failure without a good software, which needs some customization and improvements for Nothing Phone in this case. If you're looking to spend no more than 400 to 500 pounds on a new smartphone that looks like an iPhone but isn't, this is the one to buy. Regarding your color choices, the white one looks better when the lights are off and does not show fingerprints, and the black one looks better when the lights are flashing and is a color of the cheapest option. That's it. Subscribe for more videos, as I will be making one on the new iPhone very soon. Thank you for watching. This has been Mika. See you next time.